I'm Yondette from All Things Cloth.
And I'm Bethany from Beth Reeble on Instagram, and we're here to talk to you today and give you a little introduction to cloth napping. Now, I've been using cloth nappies for 6 months with my 6-month-old son William,
who's grumbling in the background.
Yeah.
And I have been using cloth for coming up to 2 years with my daughter Florence.
We just thought we'd give you an introduction to cloth, tell you about the benefits for the environment and sustainability, and also answer the most frequently asked questions when it comes to cloth, and hopefully dispel a lot of those misconceptions that surround using cloth nappies.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what do you need? What creates a successful sort of setup to be able to do cloth nappies? We're also going to talk a little bit about things that every parent really needs, whether you do cloth or not.
The first thing is how many cloth nappies you need. So it's sort of commonly spread throughout the cloth community or online that you need 24 cloth nappies to cloth full time, but we disagree with that. Especially living in Melbourne where the weather's really unpredictable and it can rain on and off in summer. It's really hard to get them dry with just that amount. So we would say probably, well, your dad has about 700, but 35 to 40 is probably a good amount.
Yeah.
And that sort of reduces the time in your wash cycle as well. You don't need to be sort of scrubbing them as soon as they're off the baby.
Yeah, so that would allow for you to wash every 3 to 4 days and keep that sort of rhythm going, so that you never run out, basically. I think I have about 50 nappies, and I find that's really good because I'm back at work, and it just gives me a little bit more leniency in terms of making sure that they're ready and folded. It doesn't take up a lot of extra time, but obviously you've got lots of different priorities, and when you go back to work you want to focus on spending time with your kids, and so your washing should always come next.
I probably have about 35 and I still manage to use about a 3-day wash cycle. So it's a good amount to have.
Yeah. And the really good thing about a lot of these brands, not so much with the handmade brands, but a lot of the manufactured overseas brands, is they have bulk packs, so you can buy 6, 12, 24 nappies, and you get discounted prices depending on how many you buy. So it really helps with the affordability of the nappies as well.
The next thing, I guess the most obvious thing when talking about what you need is a nappy. So for us, it's quite obvious what a nappy is and what it looks like because we're used to them, but people that haven't seen cloth nappies before, they don't look like a disposable nappy. So basically you have the shell, this is a designer bums, and that's a crocodile's. And then you have snaps on them. Some of them do have Velcro, but decreasingly.
Yeah, you can get Velcro, which are often used for daycare, grandparents, people who don't use a lot of cloth. They seem to be easier, and a lot of night nappies have the Velcro as well. But most of the time you'll find that the nappies have a snap on the waist, and then one size fits most will have snaps down the front, which allows you to make a nappy smaller and larger as your baby grows.
And then you have the inserts. So basically they're inside, they normally have pockets, so you can either pop them on top or you can stuff them. With this one I've done a combination. I've got one insert and then one inside the pocket as well.
Yeah. Different brands have different setups, I suppose. So designer bums are a bamboo blend insert with a stay dry layer on top, so that can easily sit against your child's body. Then this Crackerdax one, for example, is a bamboo microfiber blend. This can sit against the skin, but it doesn't have a stay dry layer, so it can feel a bit wet against the skin. Some children don't mind. If they do, you can put it in the pocket, or you can get a liner, which we can talk about in a little bit, to line on the top to add that stay dry layer. It's really personal preference and up to your baby, so it's, you just decide once you start cloth how you want to do it, and there's always support. I've got a Facebook group, All Things Cloth, which you can come and get support for how to fit and wear your nappies with your child depending on your personal circumstance. And the community is just great. Most manufacturers will support you in getting the best fit and the best outcome for your child.
The other thing in having a stash is making the decision on whether you want nappies that are purely for newborns or not. So you can use a one size fits all from newborn, depending on the size of your baby. If your baby's really small, realistically it's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
However, you know, that's a big decision because a newborn nappy they will outwet it before they outgrow it, so it doesn't have the longevity of a one-size-fits-most nappy. I had about 6 newborn nappies and I complemented those with designer bums and baby bear, which are one-size-fits-most, and that worked great for us. But some people do have a full newborn stash, and the other great thing about cloth nappies is there's quite a good market for on-selling, so you can keep that in mind as well if you do want to do that. But yeah, this is a newborn nappy, which is adorable.
So Crocodile's is new since Beth did the newborn nappies, but designer bums, baby bear, Crocodile's, they would be, I would say, the 3 sort of smallest mainstream nappies that you can buy. They're a really good option for smaller children, but also they are still one size fits most, so they will still likely fit your child through to their toilet training. The only time people seem to struggle with one size fits most is if their children's still wet overnight when they're into their older toddler years and children years. There are specific nappies and pull-ups for that, and in that case you don't need that many. You'd only need a few. So we'll go through our favourite brands a little bit later, but there's lots of different options depending on your preference. I have tried around 40 brands. I'm really passionate about supporting different businesses and understanding the difference between all the nappies, and that all stemmed from me trying to find the right one for my daughter, but it means now I guess I'm equipped with the knowledge to be able to help people. When Beth was pregnant, she came over to my place and I went through all of my different brands that I had there, and that sort of
that's what started me on cloth.
And that's what set her up to be able to make the decisions as to what would work for her.
Now, some of the other things that you need are wet bags. So you've got a selection here. So you've got sort of your medium-sized wet bag, which I personally just put this to the back of my dining chair and use them during the day to pop all my dirty nappies in. But you can use them when you're out and about for dirty nappies or clean nappies, depending on how long you're planning on going out for. But they're great. During the day I pop my nappies in them. They keep all the smells sort of sustained in there until I can wash it at the end of the day. But they're a great size.
Then you've got sort of slightly larger wet bags, which this one is just a large from Baby Behinds, but you can get extra larges from a few different brands, laundry bags, which you can keep in your washroom so that you can hold multiple days worth of pre-wash nappies. And then my favourite little magic is a mini wet bag. They are one of the most versatile things that I have come across since becoming a parent. Whether I use cloth nappies or not, I use a lot of mini wet bags. So they're great for holding a single soiled nappy, some wipes. We've got some friends joining us. You can use it to hold snacks. You can use it to hold bibs. Spare change of clothing. Think of it like a reusable Ziploc bag, basically. And they do have the waterproof lining in them, so you can put wet things in them without them leaking.
Now the last thing, but one of the other big things is a change mat, and these are great even if you use disposable nappies. So they basically pull on one side and velour, as I just learned, on the other side. So they're waterproof, so you can put your baby down on them to change their nappy. You can use them out and about so that it's more hygienic on the change table, and basically if they wee on it, doesn't matter.
There is lots of different brands that do change mats, and I urge anybody to use a reusable change mat, whether you use reusable nappies or not, because using a little thin piece of paper that you throw out is just so counterintuitive. For the same price as a couple of packs of those, you can get 1 or 2 change mats that will last you the lifetime of toilet training or changing your children for multiple years. So we've got a couple more things to just talk about that you need or that are really helpful when you do cloth nappies. So one of that would be a liner, which I touched on before, which is effectively just one layer of fabric. This is a micro fleece liner.
That's like a stay dry layer. So if you imagine a disposable nappy, it's one thing a lot of people say about cloth nappies isn't your baby just sitting in their wee all the time, which I mean is the concept of a nappy. They are sitting in their wee, but with disposable nappies they use chemicals and things in the plastic to wick the moisture away. This is effectively the same thing. So having that on their skin keeps their skin dry.
The other great thing about liners is that when they've got soluble poo like breast milk, or if they've got soft poo with formula, it reduces the amount of scrubbing because it sort of is a little barrier between your insert and your nappy. Once their poos are a bit more solid, you can pull this out of the nappy and just plop the poo in the toilet rather than having to do any kind of scrubbing or whatever. So we find liners really, really useful when doing cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Other thing is, one of my favourite discoveries since becoming a parent would be cloth wipes. So instead of tissues or disposable wipes, we use cloth wipes. We use them as hankies, we use them as to wipe hands, we use them to wipe bums, and we simply use water. Some people also use a bit of coconut oil.
Because you can buy like a pack, can't you, that's got...
Yeah, there's cheeky wipes.
Yeah,
You do like tubs and bags and wipes, and then a lot of the mainstream brands and even homemade brands do their own. They're quite simple if you want to make them yourself, and you can also buy, you can just buy fabric. If you buy a bamboo velour, you don't even need to sew them, you can just cut them. So I've got some that I've made like that, and then I've got some like this, which is baby bear. It is incredibly soft. It's got terry on one side and velour on the other. And instead of having to go through packets and packets of disposable wipes, we just use cloth wipes, and we've had, we haven't bought disposable wipes ever.
Another great thing for these is if you have any sort of skin problems on your hands, like psoriasis or dermatitis. I find personally that wipes from the supermarket really, really flare that up. Even, the water wipes, because they do still have chemicals in them. These don't, obviously, it's just water. So that's another big thing. If you do have dermatitis on your hands, these wipes obviously are not going to affect you. Because there is a brand of wipes you can buy at the supermarket now that are compostable, but they are not in a home compost. They're only compostable in an industrial compost, which some councils in Australia have. 90% don't. So, just be careful in terms of packaging and really learn to read labels and things, and know that just because it says that on the front, there's probably clauses and terms and conditions on the back.
Also be really cautious of flushable as well. Most flushable wipes and liners and things like that will actually clog your plumbing and create more issues than they're worth. Even if you're going to use disposable items like that, make sure you discard them in the rubbish bin rather than flushing them down the toilet. Okay, so let's talk about washing. So that is most people's sort of reservation when using cloth nappies. They're worried that it's going to add a lot of extra work,
or that it's going to be unhygienic.
That's going to be unhygienic. So there's a couple of things to say, I guess. Look, it is a little bit of extra work. I think I averaged it out something like 7 minutes a day. So it takes about 2 minutes out of your day every day. And then once or twice a week you have to hang, or twice a week you have to hang, and then at some point you have to fold them. So it does take maybe a couple hours over a week. But ultimately, I personally feel that is the very small sacrifice that I have to make for all the benefits.
I was honestly a little bit surprised at the beginning how much time it was taking me when I was getting used to a wash routine. And that did shock me, because I thought, whatever, it's going to be so easy. It's going to be just as easy as disposables. And I think it was the hardest when my husband was working away, because it was all on me. However, the benefit that it has far outweighs any extra time, because it's really not that much at all. And once you get into a good swing of things,
that's the thing.
It's the same as anything. If you don't fold your washing for ages, it takes longer because you've got more to fold and you've got to sit there and do it. So as long as you're in a routine, it's really no more work. It's just learning to establish that routine in your family.
Yeah, exactly. And I think once you're used to it, it just flows. I don't even think about it anymore. I put my nappies on before I go to bed every night. It takes me a couple of seconds. And then I pull them out in the morning before I go to work. Like it's I think once you're in it, it's no different to any other habit you have. Making coffee, brushing your teeth.
It's just creating a new habit.
Exactly. So it does take a little bit of extra time, but it's actually very minor to what people think. And I guess then the idea is like, how do we make sure that we keep them clean? So there are some great resources online that you can access, which have routines. Most brands will provide you with a wash routine, but on a high level, you need to pre-wash, which is a quick wash, about 30 to 40 minutes through the washing machine of your nappies for that day. If you use cloth overnight, you can do it the next morning and put your night nappy in as well. One thing to really keep in mind, like one thing you need to remember is your nappies need to be washed at least 40 degrees and no less than 60 degrees, no more than 60 degrees. So between 40 and 60, any hotter will melt your nappies and any colder is not sanitary. So just keep that in mind, between 40 and 60, it doesn't make a huge lot of difference between what you do. It's more about your washing machine, really. And then once you've done your pre-wash every day, when you get to the point that you have a full load of nappies, you put them through a hot cotton wash, so between 40 and 60 degrees, and it goes for about 2.5 hours. You can put all your nappies in, all your wipes, your liners, and then any other item of clothing.
So stuff that's sort of the same size as another nappy. So stuff like, bras, undies, t-shirts, like, little bits and pieces. However, in saying that, my wash is normally full.
Yeah.
With just nappies.
Yeah, you can just fill it with nappies as well, but some people find that they use less nappies, and so me, for example, I've got a 15-kilo washing machine.
Yeah.
So with a massive washing machine, to get enough nappies in the load to get the agitation to clean your nappies, I need to add extra things. Then there's other times where I go a couple of extra days without doing the wash, and then I'm just filling with nappies. So
because that's the thing that I didn't really understand at the beginning, is if you just have, or you do a very technical display here, if you just have a nappy in the washing machine, it doesn't get clean. But if you have two, it's like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the old-fashioned board and
exactly and
concept.
It's actually really interesting that since I've started doing cloth, I've actually learned about washing.
Are you better at washing?
So everything. So my clothes come out cleaner and whiter and beautiful because I've suddenly discovered that actually chucking a couple of things in doesn't actually wash it. You need to have washing, I must say. You need to have. One thing that's actually what you just mentioned around stain. So I have had two times that things have come out of the wash with a stain in the entire time that I've washed. Some babies don't metabolize sorbitol, which is in, I think it's called sorbitol, which is in Panadol. So you can get some sort of staining. There's a couple of brands that do specific sort of stain removal great for cloth nappies. Bear and Boho do a beautiful soap in a rope sort of thing that scrubs your nappies, or you can use any stain remover. But I've actually never had to use on a regular basis any kind of stain remover. The thing that's really important is to sort of debunk that theory that you need to soak your nappies. So back in the day, when our mums and what have you used to use cloth nappies, they would chuck the nappies into soap. It was okay when our mums used to just use basically a big terry cloth and they'd fold it up and put it on you. There's not a lot you can do to damage that kind of nappy. But when you're using a modern cloth nappy, you have a layer of water resistant laminated fabric, and then you have elastics. And now what most people don't understand, and this goes for clothing as well, is you should not be soaking or washing elastics or water resistant clothing in hot temperatures, and you shouldn't be soaking them because it disintegrates the fabric basically.
Yeah, so you don't want to soak them, you want to dry pail your nappies.
Yeah. What's a dry pail? Yeah, so a dry pail is effectively a pail, but it's got holes in it. So a washing basket is a great example of a dry pail. You can also use a wet bag, which is breathable. Because this is the thing about wool, is the way that it's laminated, it's actually breathable, but still water resistant. So there's a couple of studies that you can see online where you can actually see sort of oxygen going through, but water not going through. So it's quite amazing technology that creates this laminated fabric. So you to put the wet nappies, either before or after they're pre-washed, into a breathable tub, basically. And that allows the bacteria, it reduces the amount of bacteria. It means that you don't have a big tub of water, which is actually a drowning risk for your child, depending on where you put it. And it just means that your nappies will breathe, so you're not going to have any smells either. So we thought we would just go through some of our favourite brands. We've each got 3 of our favourites, so we'll show you 6 different brands that we love, and at the end of this video we'll also drop some discount codes for some of the brands and some retailers who where you can buy and get a little discount.
And I will have some on my Instagram on the post related to this video. I will have the codes in the caption, so you will know where to find them.
Perfect.
Let's start. Sure. So my favourite brand is Designer Bums. So that's these little guys. I love them for me and for William because of their fit. So they're very trim nappies. He was born quite big, he was over 4 kilos, but didn't gain a lot of weight, so he's always been quite a small baby, and his waist is small. So these fit him amazingly, and I love the prints on them. So this is a Wizard of Oz. Okay. This is a Wizard of Oz print, which I love. I think that's adorable. And I love the Wizard of Oz. But they have amazing prints, great inserts, they never leak for us. And I think that's the most important thing about having favourite nappy brands, is that no one is going to agree on the #1 nappy brand. So everyone has different favourites. I love these. The next one that I love are Tushy trainers, which are a work-at-home mum. And they're amazing. So these are a little big for us, probably. Like if you see one of these on William, they're a little bit wider. However, we've never had any problems with leaking or anything. They're super absorbent. They're so soft. And again, they've got beautiful prints. They come in a pull and a minky, and they're great. And this one, which I love, is the snaps. So they're all different colours, which I just think is so cute. Yeah, I love that about them. So when you buy a nappy from a work-at-home mum, there's often little things like that, which really make them stand out.
Yeah.
And you're also, not only helping the environment, then you're supporting a small business. And you often, can alter things and get things changed on certain working-at-home mums. Nappies that suit you because they are a real person that you can communicate with. And my last favourite nappy is one we haven't really touched on yet. So this is the first of this. This is a side snapping nappy. So there's a couple of brands that do side snapping nappies, and this is my favourite, which is Caterpillar Kids. There's also by Jekka, which we both really love. But they're in the wash at the moment, or I would have included those as well. But I love Caterpillar Kids. These are probably the softest nappies that I own. And so the difference is that this is the back. So this is the bum, that's the front. They snap at the side. So rather than snapping in front, you sort of wrap this around the baby, snap them on the side. It's no different to learning how to snap a front nappy. A lot of people go, oh, I'm scared of side snapping, but they're just press studs, so they're not really actually terrifying. And I love these nappies, and the woman that runs this is great to deal with, and yeah, they're just so beautiful. 3 of my favourites. So
some of the ones like Tushy trainers is one of my favourite. It takes up most of my stash. Absolutely love them.
In fact, I think this was yours.
Yes, it was mine.
Yes.
They're super soft. But I've got 3 other brands to show you here. So this amazing little leopard guy. This is a Libby Lou Rose. It's another handmade nappy by a work-at-home mum.
These are very hard to get.
So she's got a wait list for about 6 months because her nappies are so amazing. But definitely go give her a follow and add yourself onto her wait list.
Not too many, because I'd like to get one day.
She has gotten a readily available pattern and made a lot of amazing alterations to it. It fits the best. Her inserts are super thirsty. Florence can wear it at nap time and not have a leak. And yeah, it's just a really well thought pattern, and Angela is just beautiful to deal with. This is Cracadacks. So Cracadacks are new, fairly new. They've only been around for a few months. Really amazingly thought out. So they snap very, very small. They have recently had them tested on a 2.9 kilo newborn, and they fit really well. And then they also fit my friend's stocky, nearly 4-year-old as well, which designer bums, for example, don't fit him. Crackadak do fit him. They have some of the most absorbent inserts that I've used. I only need one insert for Florence. And the inside is just so soft, like that. It's really amazingly soft. The prints are really vibrant. Is it soft, Ivy?
Yeah.
Soft, yeah. The inserts are really soft too. They're a bamboo microfiber blend, so they've really thought about the science around the different absorbent fabrics. They absorb really quickly, but then because they've got bamboo, it also retains that moisture as well. So I had one of these on Florence for 5 hours without building up the absorbency. Just like a towel or a tea towel or anything like that, you need to wash it a few times to build up absorbency. Nappies are no different. Whereas unprepped, I was still able to get 5 hours, and you know, it's standard practice to get 2 hours at least, 2 to 3 hours. 5 hours easy. Now I could probably get 7.
That's amazing. I'm going to get some of those.
Yeah. I've got a discount code for them. Now this is Fudgy Pants. Now Fudgy Pants is a New Zealand brand. They're made overseas but designed in New Zealand. Really awesome prints. These are beautiful hydrangeas. So they have it's a very different style of nappy, but I do like that. So they're a bit bulkier, not as trim, but inside they've actually got what's called a double gusset, where that holds any soil basically, so poo or even wee. It helps sort of tunnel that from being able to leak. And they also have a little built-in insert, so it means they do take a little bit longer to dry, but it is one extra like sort of insert.
Yeah.
And they do go quite small for smaller babies, probably from about 4 kilos.
And the double gusset helps with that too. Like we were just snapping it down to as small as it goes, and even though it still looks bulky, it's a tiny hole.
The leg hole is actually quite small. What I also love about these is they have a few different insert sets. So you can get your one nappy and then you can get additional inserts. So they have an overnight set where you can get your day nappy and then you can just add an overnight insert in, and it lasts us about 14 hours. Unfortunately, she doesn't sleep for 14 hours, but it will last for 14 hours. They're very, very absorbent. They're also very affordable. So their night nappy, I think, is about 38 Australian dollars. Their normal, their standard nappy, which is a microfiber bamboo blend, I think it's like $26.
Wow.
Yeah, like so affordable. I also have a personal discount code for them as well, which we will link in
down
tag below. Yeah, so that's sort of our favourite brands. There's so many brands. There are a few brands that haven't worked for us, but they also then work for other families.
Yeah.
What's really amazing is you can buy a nappy for anywhere from $11 with a brand like Alva, which is, they're not ethically made, unfortunately, but they're very affordable, and you just need to add extra inserts in to make sure that they're absorbent. You can buy anything from $11, $10 or whatever, up to $40.
Well, this is the one thing that I love to mention about Caterpillar Kids is, so this one wasn't because I got these specifically made with the embroidery, but their regular pool nappies are $15.
So cheap.
But they are
Making it
so cheap. It's definitely a love thing, and they're such a well-made nappy.
Yeah, but that brings us to our next topic and final topic of the day,
which is the most important thing, and that's the benefits.
Benefits. Why would you do cloth?
So obviously, we've spent half an hour talking about all of these things that you have to now add into your life, an additional cost, more work, whether it's easy or not, it is more work doing it. You've got to, build a stash, you've got to learn how to do a whole new process in your life. And especially, if you've just got one baby and it's your first baby and it's a newborn, it's a lot. So the number one benefit for us, and the reason we went to cloth, is the sustainability and the impact on the environment. Every disposable nappy that's ever been made still exists. So there is no, real life study or research out there to tell us how long it will take for a disposable nappy to break down in landfill, because one has never. They can obviously simulate things like that in labs, but they have never broken down. So something like this, it's saving insane amounts of landfill, and landfill that we don't know if we're ever going to be able to get rid of.
So I've got some facts about sort of the cost benefit, because those are, I mean, a lot of people worry about or think about the environmental impact. The other benefit is how beautiful they are, but then what about the cost? You know, studies have been done that say we spend about $1,500 to $3,000 on disposable nappies from birth to toilet training, whereas a stash of 30 nappies, just let's give it on average, at $35. So at the higher end of the price bracket, you're looking at just over $1,000. If you were to go at the lower end of the price bracket, it's under $400. So,
and the other thing is they do have that resale value, like we touched on before.
Yeah.
We're part of a lot of cloth nappy resale groups on Facebook, which are, you know, very active. They really exist. There's lots of them. eBay is another place where you can sell and buy, so you can buy things secondhand. But on top of that, you can keep reasonably good value with your nappies. So whether you on-sell them or whether you use them for a second child, or, you know, in the case of us, we actually got a lot of nappies from my in-laws because they'd used them with their daughter. And, you know, it just, the cost really does.
Yeah.
You know,
and even with
make a
someone
big
like me
difference.
who has bought and sold a lot of nappies, I have actually, I would still be down around the $1,000 because of that resale value. Because there's certain brands like Designer Bums where you can sell a used nappy for retail. There's other brands that are hard to come by that you can sell for more than what you paid for them. So the cost benefit is just, yeah, next level. The other thing is that I guess I do like to touch on is that there is this amazing cloth community. There is a beautiful group of human beings who all have the same common goal to reduce the chemicals that we put against our children, to reduce the cost and reduce the impact on the environment. And so I have made friends out of cloth nappies. Like, who would have known that nappies would have brought me into this community of friends? It's brought me closer to Beth, for example, who I've known for a few years, but we sort of started bonding over nappies, and now all of a sudden we catch up all the time, you know. It's really, really amazing, the community around cloth nappies, and it's amazing the things you learn. And you know, I've done a video before about menstrual cloth, you know, looking at like your wet bags, looking at more sustainable toothbrushes, reusable coffee cups, like all these things, these changes that you can make in your life that's better for yourself, your family, the future of our children. Yeah, it's amazing. So I really thank the community, people like Beth, for giving us the opportunity to get this out there, because it's really important.
It is really important, and I think something that I've changed my view on in the past few weeks even, you know, for people on my Instagram would know that my sort of, it used to be a very different Instagram to what it's going to be in the future, which is more about climate change and living in a sustainable life that will help ensure there is a future for my children. And one of those things that I've really changed my view on is saying, oh yeah, you know, it's okay, everyone's just doing their best. But I think when it comes to things like this, it's not hard, and there is an alternative. And so I think it's great that we can do things like this and talk about that alternative and show people that it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's a small change that you can make. It's fun. You get all these benefits, cost, friends. You know, it's awesome.
So thank you guys for watching this video today. We hope you have learned something and, you know, gained something from this. We hope you have enjoyed the side entertainment throughout our video, and we will tag and link to some discount codes that we have for a few different brands, so that you can go check them out, try a couple of brands, and look, even if you have older, you know, 1-year-olds, whatever, you're still going to save money. It's still better for the environment. Please send either of us a message or flick us a comment in All Things Cloth, and we are more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.